Hello, hello, hello! I'm your host, Rachel, and I'm here to talk about the DD crime. First question, has your mom ever told you you were allergic to something, but later on realized she lied about it? Well, for example, I had this friend last year, and she told me that her mom told her she was allergic to alcohol. She said she was so scared to try it because all the lies that her mom told her. She eventually tried it, and nothing happened. Exactly what happened with the infuriating story of Gypsy and her mother Dee Dee. Now this tragic story lives in my head 24/7. Be patient, trust me. Now listen up, because the start of this crime gets dark. If you haven't heard anything about the Dee Dee crime, then listen up. When Gypsy was 8 years old, she fell off the trampoline. Her mother, Dee Dee, started stealing drugs from the hospital she worked at. And it wasn't for herself, it was for Gypsy. And for that reason, it's because Dee Dee started telling everyone that Gypsy had diseases. Gypsy went through years of unnecessary surgeries, including her needing a feeding tube. Imagine that. And she stayed in a wheelchair. You think that's not bad enough? Dee Dee shaves Gypsy's head every time she sees even a little bit of hair to make it look like she's sick. Gypsy never knew there wasn't actually anything wrong with her until one night. Now, some good information to have is Gypsy and her mom Dee Dee slept in the same bed because Dee Dee hates being away from Gypsy that much. One night, Gypsy got up out of bed while her mother was sleeping and tried walking. She started walking and felt absolutely no pain. She felt confused, angry, and happy. She hasn't walked basically in her whole life, but it was unusual for her. Another good thing to know is Gypsy apparently is allergic to sugar as well. And that same night when she figured out she could walk, she also went and tried, I think it was like soda or like whipped cream. And of course, she had an EpiPen right by her, but she wanted to know the truth. If she was able to walk, what else was her mother lying about? And she found out that night that she could walk and eat sugar. And obviously if she was swallowing, she doesn't need the feeding tube either. I already feel her anger. Once Gypsy was trying to go back to bed, her mother was already awake and saw Gypsy walking. You would think Dee Dee would talk about it, but nope. She just went right back to bed and made Gypsy faked being in the wheelchair yet again. We're getting more into the juiciness of the story. Gypsy was suspicious enough and started snooping around. She found her birth certificate and saw that she was born in 1991, but thought that her mom told her she was born in 1995. Gypsy already lost enough trust. After she saw that her mom even lied about when she was born, she started feeling trapped. That's when she secretly got a computer and a flip phone. There was this girl named Lexi, which was her neighbor, and they were pretty close. Lexi started telling Gypsy about this website, and it was like this website she met her boyfriend on. It was called like ChristianDating.com. But anyways, Lexi was telling Gypsy all about it, and that gave Gypsy the idea that she wanted to go on that website. At this moment, with her computer, she was already on Facebook with her secret Facebook account texting guys. The Christian dating website is where she met the killer of her mother, Nick Godejohn. Nick has a personality disorder where he has like multiple personalities, and one is good, which is Nick, and the other is named Victor. And he explains Victor as having like a dark side. They knew everything about each other. Now jumping forward to about a year later, there was a surprise visit from like Child Protective Services. And let me tell you, the second Dee Dee saw her coming, she ran and gave Gypsy 2 pills of some type of drug. It made her super loopy, where she couldn't think or do anything. When the worker came inside, Dee Dee kept telling her over and over that she has a mind of a 7-year-old. She can't speak. She has a mind of a 7-year-old. which clearly wasn't true, but it made it seem true when she was on drugs. After this, she knew she is never trusting her mother ever again. Jumping forward another year, we're at Gypsy and Nick talking online for 2 years now. Eventually, Dee found the laptop and smashed it right in front of Gypsy. After that, she tied Gypsy up to the bed. What kind of mother is she? After all that happened, Nick and Gypsy planned to meet in person. They went to the Cinderella movie and secretly met up in the bathrooms and had sex. A few days later, June 12th, 2015, Gypsy video called Nick while he was quote-unquote Victor. She asked him to kill her mom for her. She didn't know what else to do. Now picture this, a trapped young, scared woman asked him to kill her mother for her because she couldn't bring herself to do it. June 13th, Gypsy went to the mall with her mom and snuck away, stole her mom's secret stash of money, and bought a knife. She ended up getting a red fish knife, which will be the murder weapon. June 14th, Gypsy said goodnight to her mom like any regular other night, started packing, got a text from Nick saying that he was at the house. Gypsy gave him the knife, went into the bathroom, covered her ears, and Nick went ahead, murdering. Gypsy covered her ears because all she could hear was her mom screaming for her. Just imagine how traumatizing that could be. Nick stabbed Dee 17 times. I get that Nick was trying to save Gypsy, but if I was her, I would be terrified. Right after that, they took an Uber and went to this motel and stayed there overnight. While Gypsy and Nick were staying at the motel, they mailed themselves the murder weapon, the fish knife, to Wisconsin, which was Nick's mother's house, which is where they ended up running to. The next morning, they got picked up from the bus stop from Nick's mom, and they were in Wisconsin together. Nick's mother had no clue. Gypsy and Nick acted like nothing happened. Once they arrived at Nick's house, they saw the package. And so you know, it's the murder weapon. Once Gypsy saw that package, it just reminded her all over again how her mom is dead. Gypsy felt bad for leaving her in the bed with no one knowing. So they decided to get everyone's attention. Gypsy logged in to her mom and hers Facebook and sent a post saying, as I quote, "That bitch is dead." They wanted to get people's attention, and they most certainly did. I bet you $1,000 if you go on Facebook right now, look up Gypt Blanchard, you will see the post still up, June 14th, 2015. Now, they weren't very smart with this. This is where they messed up. They didn't turn their location off on the computer nor Facebook, meaning the officers tracked down who posted that comment on Facebook, and they found where it was. They soon located Gypsy and Nick in Wisconsin at Nick's mother's house. They were found and taken in. It just gets me thinking, if they never posted that comment on Facebook, would they ever got caught? Makes me wonder. Later on, investigators went into the house and found Dee dead in her bed, covered up with blankets. She had stab wounds and dry blood on her back. Her face was facing the bed. In 2016, Gypsy Rose pled guilty to second-degree murder, sentenced to 10 years in prison, but got released early, December 28th, 2023, last year. Or I guess, like 2 years ago, because it's 2025. Gypsy was already married before she got released, and they already are divorced in April 2024. Now, 2025, she's pregnant with a different man's baby. Now, for Nick's sake, Nick Godejohn, his sentence was a lot worse because Gypsy was a child getting medically abused, which helped her lower her sentence. Nick was the one that fully murdered Dee Dee, which ended with him being charged with first-degree murder and was sentenced to life in prison. Now, I don't know if you remember the name of this episode, but it's called The Dee Dee Crime, not the Gypsy Crime. So really, the real question is Gypsy guilty, or was she right to do what she did? Thank you so much for listening. Tune in next week to hear more connections about the Gypsy murder, including her neighbors, family members, and more. Tune in next time. And that's your host, Rachel, closing out.